Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and today is the day Activision's grand plan to save the Call of Duty franchise is in full effect, and finally, after all this time, including like a 1-month delay, they have revealed what's coming to the Black Ops 6 multiplayer. You would think that given the current state of the COD franchise, the dwindling player base, and the fact that the season was delayed for like a month, that we would be in for one hell of a season, though unfortunately, I really don't think that's the case. To be perfectly honest with you guys, this really does seem like a lot of us predicted. The whole focus of this season is Warzone, and it really does seem like they just padded out the multiplayer with a bunch of filler. There is some pretty good stuff in here, but a lot of this really has me scratching my head, and I really don't see this being the massive update that excites core multiplayer fans to want to return to the game. But I want you guys to make your minds up for yourselves, so let's go ahead and jump right into it and cover everything that's coming to the Black Ops 6 multiplayer here in Season 3. First things first, we have the brand new multiplayer maps, of which there will be 3 of them at launch, and then 2 of them coming later in the season. Of the launch maps, we have Barrage, which is going to be set in 1968 Vietnam. Honestly, looks pretty cool. Like, it's classic Black Ops vibes. It's going to involve Hudson and the whole overarching season story. Pretty good stuff there, right? But the rest of this does not look nearly as good. Next up here, we have Nomad, which is going to be set in 1986 Afghanistan, and it's going to be a strike map. Therefore, it's going to be 6v6 as well as 2v2, which basically means, for all intents and purposes, it's going to be a face-off only map, and it is as bland looking as all get out. Like, looking at these pictures here, this looks like 3 or 4 different COD maps that we've had over the years that I can't even name because they were all just rubble-filled gray and brown maps that are just boring and terrible and just disgusting, and ugh, nobody wants this, right? Like, Nomad honestly looks so freaking bad. And then, of course, we have everybody's favorite, Firing Range. Now, in the blog post itself, it says, Firing Range makes its glorious return in Black Ops 6 in a faithful remaster of the fan favorite map. And so far, the reception here has been incredibly critical, not only because this is like literally the 5th time we've had this map in the mainline game, but also the art style and the direction. It doesn't have the right feel. It doesn't have the right vibe that the original map had. Something about these images here make this version of Firing Range, and it could just be me, let me know your thoughts in the comments, but like, it genuinely seems like it's so generic and bland compared to the original Firing Range, which obviously brings up the question, how heavy of a hand did AI have while creating the art assets for this map? And also, exactly how faithful is it going to be? Because I can already see a couple of differences here and there. In certain places, they removed certain set pieces. In other places, they added certain set pieces. So we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But yeah, Firing Range coming back. We all predicted it, essentially, and here it's going to be as one of the marquee maps here for Season 3 within Black Ops 6. Now, those are going to be the launch day maps for the season. Let's talk about the mid-season maps, because this one right here has actually already gotten quite a bit of controversy. So, Haven, right? This is going to be one of the mid-season maps. It's going to be for 6v6, and it's going to be a KGB safe house in 1991. My first impression is it's pretty bland, right? It's sort of sun-washed and everything, but note the mini-map here. Charlie Intel pointed out on Twitter that this is the style of mini-map that Sledgehammer Games would use when revealing maps for Modern Warfare 3, which might imply this is one of the maps that Treyarch stole from Sledgehammer Games. Now, if you guys don't remember, or perhaps you just missed the story, it was leaked a while ago that most of the Season 5 and Season 6 maps for Modern Warfare 3 were cut so that Treyarch could use them as DLC maps within Black Ops 6, and Charlie notes in his tweet here that the minimap could be an indicator that Haven is one of those stolen maps, essentially. At face value, it kind of looks like he might be right, considering the other minimaps they gave us today have a Black Ops theme to them, but then I remembered that pre-launch, all of the maps essentially had that red Modern Warfare grid-style minimap to them, right? So I suppose it's possible that somebody somewhere just messed up when creating the minimap for this image, but then somebody named Rin showed up in the replies to the post and provided some incredibly valuable insight. So if we zoom in on the truck here, it's literally one of the Modern Warfare 2019 vehicles. Now, according to Rin, this vehicle is called the A Sierra, and it was used during the Modern Warfare 2019 campaign mission Hunting Party. Sledgehammer Games, of course, made Modern Warfare 3, and working on the Modern Warfare series, they would have access to a lot of Infinity Ward's art and assets, so it does indeed look like this map was made by Sledgehammer. Treyarch took it, or maybe Sledgehammer gave it to them regardless. Treyarch took the map, gave it a different coat of paint, which is a very boring, washed out, and drab coat of paint at that, and then never removed some of the Infinity Ward assets. Now, one thing to remember here is Sledgehammer Games, during Modern Warfare 3, they absolutely knocked it out of the park when it came to the quality quality of their DLC maps, so despite the bland setting and appearance that Haven may have, don't be surprised if this ends up being one of the better maps within the Black Ops 6 multiplayer. With Haven out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the final mid-season map, which is going to be Signal. This is going to be a strike map, meaning basically, for all intents and purposes, it's only going to be a face-off map, and it's set in a 1968 numbers control room on an ocean rig somewhere. Now, this right here is exactly the kind of art style and direction I want in my Black Ops games, man. It's a shame that's only going to be used for face-off, essentially. I know plenty of people play face-off. I mean, nowadays, everyone just plays on the small maps 24/7, but I would love for this kind of art style and direction to be used on the core 6v6 maps, because that's where the actual game is played. You know, you go to face-offs to do challenges and, you know, instant gratification and headshots and all that stuff. You know, the actual game is played on the real maps, but the real maps that we're getting are just rehashes this season. The Vietnam map does look good, but the rest of them are just so bland and drab and just honestly kind of boring. So I'm not really feeling the vibe from the maps this season, with the exception of this one. It looks pretty freaking incredible, as does the Vietnam one. Now, one final map that they're going to be adding to the season, though it's not technically going to be a new map, is going to be Blaze Town, because of course around 420, why wouldn't we have a 420 themed Nuketown map? So yeah, I don't know, man. It just seems like the art direction is all over the place this season. Of the new 6v6 maps coming to the game, only 2 of them are actually original. We then have 2 maps that are basically just going to be for face-off, and then we have firing range. I will admit this is more content than I initially thought they were going to add to the multiplayer for Season 3, because my expectations were basically just down there in the toilet, so I suppose kudos to Treyarch on that one, even if they had to steal a few maps to actually pull it off. Now, with the maps out of the way, let's go ahead and quickly cover the new game modes here. They're not new, of course, they're returning. Everything is just something returning anymore. It's never anything new or original. Sharpshooter's coming back, which honestly, like back in the old school, like original Black Ops days, Sharpshooter was my favorite party mode. It was so much fun. It's a game mode where everybody has the exact same loadout, and then every 30 seconds to a minute, something like that, your loadout changes, and everyone has to use an entirely separate gun. It's kind of fun. It's interesting. I've always kind of thought Sharpshooter was a fun party mode. And then Demolition returning, which is awesome. I love Demolition. I always have, although for some reason, they don't tend to include it that much anymore, because they tend to not be able to balance the spawns as well as they would like. I mean, you could argue Black Ops 6 already has some pretty bad spawns, but Demolition is kind of known notoriously for spawn trapping, which is why it's rarely ever a launch day game mode here within the COD franchise anymore, but they know enough people like the game mode, so they decided to bring it back usually in the later seasons, and here we are, it's coming back for Black Ops 6. Moving right along here, this area of the video is going to get downright brutal, because we have 2 new perks coming to the game, and I don't think I'm overreacting here. These perks are completely fucking pointless. Like, these are some of the worst perks I have ever seen. Like, you'd have to go back to the original World at War and look at some of the pointless perks they had in that game to find perks that are as equally worthless as what is being added to Black Ops 6 with Season 3. Like, these perks are really that bad, and if you think I'm exaggerating, let's go ahead and take a look. So, the first perk is going to be coming to the game at the launch of Season 3. It's going to be a red perk 1 called Close Shave. Now, the description for this is automatically use your dedicated melee attack when you perform a weapon butt attack. Simply tap the melee button to attack like the old days. How fucking stupid is this perk, man? It's literally panic knifing the perk. Like, if you get scared, you can hit your melee button and get a 1-hit kill instead of a 2-hit kill. Can you imagine a reality where anybody uses this for any reason whatsoever, especially given that it's a perk 1 in the same category as Ninja, Ghost, Flak Jacket, Tac Mask, how even Dexterity, right? Like, why would you ever use this perk? I think it's pretty freaking clear this perk is complete filler. They needed something to pad out the season, and they thought to themselves, wait, what if somebody could run around knifing but still have their gun out if they needed it? Like, yeah, dude, that's just how that used to be. That's how Call of Duty always used to be. It's not some crazy, innovative, or OP idea or anything. It's just something that you removed because you wanted a dedicated melee slot so you could sell skins for people's knives, man. Just call it what it is. Like, it's such a dumb idea for a perk. It's so freaking bad. I don't see a reality where anybody who's like a serious player will ever use this for any reason whatsoever. And then the second perk, which will be coming mid-season, mind you, is going to be a blue perk 2 called Vendetta. The description here reads, on respawn, mark your killer's last known location for a short duration, get a bonus score for eliminating that enemy. The Vigilance perk counters being marked by Vendetta. So this is literally just a worse version of the recon combat specialty, but it's being repackaged as a perk, essentially. Like, thankfully, recon was nerfed multiple times, but at least that showed where everybody on the enemy team was when you respawned, and now they want you to run a perk 2, which admittedly, the perk 2 category is not very good, especially when compared to perks 1 and 3, but they want you to run this perk that essentially gives you the recon bonus for one player, the specific player who killed you. I can maybe see this being useful, maybe in free-for-all, since they already kind of have that revenge-based spawn system. Like, if you guys ever played free-for-all, you know what it's like. If you kill somebody, chances are they're going to spawn relatively close to you, and so the best way to play free-for-all is kind of get between two spawn locations and just keep catching people as they appear. So maybe in that game mode, this perk might not be completely useless, but outside of that, I really don't see it being very good whatsoever, and therein lies the point I was trying to make earlier. Both of these perks seem like complete filler, like they're not original, they're nothing fun, and I genuinely think that most of you watching this video, if you even still play Black Ops 6, will never run these perks for any reason, because why would you? And these are supposed to be a selling point for people to go back to the Black Ops 6 multiplayer. It really does seem like these were just thrown in to pad out the season, the same way they lazily brought back firing range, the same way they allegedly stole Haven from Sledgehammer Games, and then on top of that, you look at the weapons and the new score streak. So when it comes to the weapons of Season 3, we've already covered this in yesterday's video, but I don't think there's a single original thing in here. Like, Black Ops 6 is basically becoming a classic rock station right now, where they just keep playing the classics, and while sometimes that's a good thing, when it's overdone, it just looks lazy. So we already knew about the Kilo and the AMAX and the HDR. Those are going to be like right there towards the very launch of Season 3. Well, today they revealed that mid-season, the Ladra submachine gun will be coming out as part of an event. The blog post describes the gun as having an extreme rate of fire, excellent range, and low recoil, which actually sounds kind of good. And then after that, they will be dropping the return of the nail gun special weapon. Looking at the roadmap itself, it looks like a number of conversion kits are also going to be available. We already learned about the Grau conversion kit for the SWAT, while on top of that, we have the return of the monolithic suppressor, because of course we need that for Warzone, and then we have 10mm rounds for the C9, and a mini rocket conversion kit for the Goblin that'll make it shoot explosive ammo. I will say that while these aren't as good as the aftermarket parts that we had back in Modern Warfare 3, it is nice to see Treyarch at least attempting to recreate that system even a little bit, right? We learned in the past that reportedly, the different COD studios don't like working together. We learned that each studio basically thinks that they do things the right way and the other studios do things the wrong way, and so hopefully, after seeing the success of aftermarket parts and conversion kits and everything, hopefully these devs can just put away their pride and their petty differences and whatnot and start allowing for good features from one game to easily make it into the next game. That's always been one of the most off-putting aspects of Call of Duty for me personally, and I'm sure plenty of you guys out there as well. We're talking about an annual title here, and each game at least attempts to greater or lesser extents to try new things out, right? And on the occasion that a new system or a new feature goes over well with fans, it almost never makes it into the game that comes out after that. Like, imagine how much better this franchise would be if every time something good was implemented, it just became the new standard default for all future games. Imagine if every Call of Duty title from the last decade had Black Ops 2 style ranked play. Like, Black Ops 2's ranked play was freaking incredible, then they had like terrible ranked play year after year after year after year until eventually they started getting things right. Imagine if they just implemented that version of ranked play right away into a game like Call of Duty Ghost, right into Advanced Warfare, right into Black Ops 3. Just what if they would have actually had their games have some continuity? That would have been pretty freaking fantastic, right? What if every game for the past decade had a headquarters that kept getting expanded upon like we had back during Call of Duty World War II? Imagine if every game had a COD mobile style firing range for you to test out your weapons in. Like, imagine if seasonal events were more than just shot bundles, or if customizable score streaks were expanded upon. Like, any number of ideas that were just one-offs at one point in history could have been expanded upon and really helped out the franchise, though the devs don't like working together for some reason. So hopefully that's something that they do a better job of in the future. But to get back to it, because I almost skipped over it because of that little tangent right there, but they're bringing back the Death Machine score streak yet again. Now, don't get me wrong, I like the Death Machine. It's definitely an iconic part of the Black Ops series, but if we look at Season 3 as a whole, it really just seems to be more of the same, man. Like, welcome to Radio Black Ops, where we just play all the hits all the time, you know? Like, 3 total 6v6 maps, with only 2 of them being original, 2 face-off maps, a bunch of old Warzone guns returning, 2 completely useless perks, the Death Machine, which is good, Demolition, which is good, Sharpshooter, which is good, and then 3 conversion kits. Like, I will admit, and maybe you guys agree here, I will admit this is more than I honestly thought they would be adding to the game, considering this entire season is basically focused on Verdansk. I don't think this will do anything to revive Black Ops 6 or garner more interest in it. Like, I definitely think this this season is still solely focused on Warzone. I mean, for crying out loud, all the weapons are just old Warzone guns, and I think that is something that over time will weigh on the remaining player base. As you start seeing people running around with only Modern Warfare 2019 guns in your current Black Ops game, I think there will be a growing disconnect where players become more and more aware that Warzone is once again the focus, and what you're doing in multiplayer is much more of a side mode, at least in the eyes of Activision and the developers. I suppose the biggest thing, and of course I will be covering this in detail, is will all this work out for Activision? Will player numbers grow exponentially, or will the COD series continue to decline? As of the recording of this video, I went to Steam charts just to see how Call of Duty is doing today, and guys, they aren't even on the front page right now. I had to go to the second page where Call of Duty is currently sitting at the number 26 most played game on Steam with only 45,000 players. The game hasn't even cracked 80,000 concurrent players over the course of the last 30 days, and we keep wondering, where's the floor for this series right now? It just keeps going down, and now we're kind of at the point where we're digging underneath the basement. I mean, 44,000 average players? Freaking Delta Force has that right now. You would think that if Season 3 is going to be this massive, incredible update that saves the series, well, you would think that people would actually be excited about it, you know? You think people would be signing back into the game, and maybe they would be practicing in Warzone, or maybe leveling up their guns, or unlocking new perks, or going to the armory and getting access to the stuff they may have missed during Seasons 1 and 2, but no, they aren't. No one's doing any of that because the hype surrounding this update appears to be pretty negligible. The feeling surrounding this update is just like any other Season 3 for Call of Duty, where, let's be honest, most people just don't care. Like, it's Season 3 for crying out loud. The initial hype is gone. Most people have accomplished their goals, whether that be Dark Matter or Prestige Master or whatever, and a lot of players move on. That's the very natural progression of things, but the problem is, this time around, everybody seemed to have moved on way faster than before. Like, not even 1 month into Black Ops 6, pretty much everybody moved on, and nobody returned. This season was supposed to be Activision's grand plan to bring all those players back, and while I'm sure the numbers will improve on launch day, the hype surrounding this season is definitely not what Activision was hoping to see, and it's honestly been really interesting to watch all this play out. Like, as I see all this stuff coming out for the Black Ops 6 multiplayer, and we realize they're just basically rehashing a whole bunch of stuff, I really don't see this bringing people back to Black Ops 6. Will people go back to Warzone? Maybe, at least for a little bit, to revisit Verdansk for a week or something like that, but then, if they realize all the problems are still persisting, they're gonna go away again, because at the end of the day, it was never about the content. And as always, I will keep you guys posted as we learn more and as more information comes out, and I may do a video about the zombies news. I feel like this video is already freaking long enough, and apparently, and you guys might like this, a new blog post is going to be posted tomorrow detailing how they're going to be improving the anti-cheat, or maybe I should say allegedly improving the anti-cheat. So that blog post comes out tomorrow. I'm definitely gonna do a video on that. I may do a video on all the zombies news as well, so stay tuned to the channel here, guys. Be sure to sub if you're new around here to keep up to date with everything that's going on. But for right now, I'm going to wrap up this video here today. I hope you all enjoyed it. Leave your thoughts and feedback on the multiplayer updates for Season 3 down there in the comments. Thank you all so much for listening and for your continued support of my channel, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.